I'm Tom, and this is Adult Game Reviews. Welcome, everyone, to my top 10 VNs I played in 2023. I played so many good VNs this year, and I must have changed around the order multiple times. If you like my list, you can see the links down below. These are just the games I played in 2023. So games like Leap of Faith and Artemis I played in 2022, so you won't be seeing them on the list. Also, there are a handful of really fun dating sims I played, like Hush Hush and Love in Second Base, but I don't consider those visual novels. I also loved all of these games, so any criticism is just to tell you why particular order or placement. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get into number 10. Number 10. Summer's Gone by Ocean SG. I begrudgingly added Summer's Gone to this list. I have to be honest with everyone, and Summer's Gone does so many things that are exceptional. From the gorgeous renders to the fun and enjoyable characters and love interests, I absolutely love the banter with Bella and your goofy sister Nami. This would be higher on my list if it wasn't for a few issues. One, I hated that the dev made the game take place in the US because my OCD kept finding inconsistencies. The second is the lack of lewd content. 5 chapters and minimal lewd content? That's not great. And the third and biggest issue is the development cycle. This may be in my top 10 and it's well deserved, but I won't be jumping back in until the game is completed or close to it. I'm just not confident this game will ever fully release, which makes me sad. I really hope I'm wrong. Please prove me wrong, Ocean. Number 9. Something to Write About, the Author. This is STWA's first game, which delved deep into issues like mental illness and coping with consequences of your decision. You play the main character who made it big by publishing your first book at like the age of 17. It's been many years since then, and you've struggled to publish anything since. This VN is very heavy, and it touched upon a lot of serious topics that you don't really see in a lot of games like these. I consider the author Leap of Faith light. It's not quite as polished and emotional as Leap of Faith in my opinion, but few are. Some of my favorite vanilla visual novels are the ones that are heavy, like the Walking Dead game and a couple of the Life is Strange games. I really like it when devs take a risk to address topics that may not be the standard VN formula. It's a lot easier to play it safe, make a game about college or whatever the hottest trope is, not take any real risk with characters or situations, and make good enough money off of Steam. There's so many games out right now that I can name off the top of my head that feel like the worst parts of AAA games. So bravo to STWA for willingness to take a risk. This isn't the last time I will be talking about STWA, FYI. Number 8. City of Broken Dreamers by Philly Games. I played up to chapter 12, but there are currently 14 chapters released on their Patreon. Only up to chapter 7 has been released on Steam, which hasn't been updated in a long time, so for now I would probably avoid City of Broken Dreamers on Steam. City of Broken Dreamers is super stylized and just very cool. This is basically cyberpunk without the name. You play a ghost, which is a fancy mercenary who takes on a job to protect someone that makes him come to terms with his own demons. I mean, you want cyberpunk in visual novel form? Yeah. This is it. The novel was a bit light on lewd content the last time I played. There were sound effects in the combat scenes, which were a draw for me. I love combat scenes in visual novels, and I thought they were done really well in City of Broken Dreamers. The only reason that it's a bit lower on the list is that it can be slow at times, and I wish there was more lewd content. Otherwise, it's a fantastic game that I hope actually fully releases at some point. Number 7. Intertwined by Nyx. I wasn't expecting to like this VN as much as I did. It's silent, which I usually hate, and there really isn't a main story to speak of. You just follow the main character who had a falling out with his father and goes back to live with his mother. He reconnects with old friends and makes new ones. That's pretty much it, and I loved it. Intertwined had some of my favorite love interests in it with Valeria and Layla, but I liked all the girls. Only issue is another great VN with not many lewd scenes in it yet. I played up to episode 10 and currently episode 11 was released in August, so definitely interested in jumping back into this one when it gets further along in development. I'm definitely going to let it cook a little bit longer. Hopefully we get more adult content in future updates. Number 6. Evermore by Prometheus. It might be a bit of recency bias, but I was surprised how much I liked Evermore. The story was very unique with a lot of fantasy tropes in it. It was goofy at times, but overall I found it pretty funny. With all Honey Select Renpai games, you have to like the style of render. Some people in my Evermore review, which I put a link in the comments, thought the characters looked weird. And yeah, I think some look weird, mainly the older men. They all look like balding babies, but I got used to that. What I can say that impressed me, it has 18 love interests. The story was engaging enough to keep me coming back for more. This one will be difficult for me to not jump into update to update because I want to see what happens next. Number 5. Chasing Sunsets by Stone Fox Studios. I played up through chapter 7, which is version 0.8. Chapter 8 was just released, which I haven't played yet. So if it's terrible, this will obviously change. However, this is one VN that it feels like keeps getting better and better. Jay is one of my favorite love interests in any game I've played. Normally, I would ding a game for only having 2 love interests, but when you have at least one that is as good as Jay, it kind of works. I will likely jump into the new update at some point, but I don't like to play update to update except for Eternum and BAD. The main character and your sister just inherited billions from your parents who recently died. This game is pure wish fulfillment. You have to try and unravel the circumstances of your parents' death and their secret research. Now, the medical jargon is mostly pure nonsense, and I know some people are turned off by that. But I mean, this is all fantasy anyway, so really looking forward to seeing how this one ends. Number 4, STWA The Unbroken. And yes, STWA makes the list twice, and it's well deserved. The Unbroken is a better game in almost every way than the author. It's still in development, but STWA has a good track record and there's been consistent progress. You play an ex-Special Forces soldier who is currently the UK equivalent of a USC fighter or a cage fighter. The game starts with you meeting up with the MC from the author, which I thought was pretty cool. You find out that your best friend died in a tragic accident and you promise to take care of his younger sister V. So you spend your time taking care of V, training to fight, and meeting other girls on the way. The actual UFC fights are one of my favorite parts. Just like in the author, there are heavier themes. You deal with the after effects of the decisions made during war, grief, loss, and the complicated feelings you have with your dead best friend. STWA definitely needs more exposure because he is one of the better devs out there in my opinion. Before we get into the top 3, I have a few games that didn't quite make the list that I still love. First, like the video if you like it and subscribe if you aren't. If you're feeling super generous, you can go down underneath the video and hit that thanks button and just donate whatever you're comfortable with. I really appreciate it. The first game that didn't quite make my top 10 was Monster College. I really enjoyed Monster College. It still needs a bit of time to cook though. I really liked it for its light-hearted story and funny characters. Next is Artemis. Artemis was released to Steam in 2023, but I played it in 2022, so it didn't quite make the cut just due to timing, but it's another great one if you haven't played it yet. And lastly, Pale Carnations. A lot of people love Pale Carnations, and I get it. There really isn't anything out there quite like it. It's just not my particular taste, but I get it if you love Pale Carnations, so it could easily be in your top 10. Let me know if it is down below. Okay, moving into the top 3. Number 3 is Desert Stalker by Zetan. I played Desert Stalker at the very beginning of the year, and I absolutely loved it. It's still in development, and I've yet to play the most recent update. You play the main character who is a desert stalker in a post-apocalyptic Egypt. You're basically a treasure hunter for the current queen of Egypt. You, your wife, 2 daughters, and servants live in your compound outside the main city. You're introduced to varying factions. You end up splitting your time with your oldest daughter who is training to become a desert stalker. The game is so unique, and I found it brilliant. There are 2 issues I have with it. One being, I don't understand the build numbers. I just don't get it. Not sure if this is supposed to go all the way up to version 1.0, because if it is, it's got like 30 years left in development. The second is forced lewd interaction. I'm not a fan of these in games, and I have hopes that Zetan puts in options to turn these interactions down, because overall, this game is brilliant. Number 2, Project Passion by Classy Lemon. I absolutely love Project Passion. The first season released to Steam this past year, and it is one of the few VNs that does everything above average to great. There's voice acting, sound effects, good music, interesting characters, good writing, fun humor, and an overall very cool MC. I think there's just a deep part of me that loves the idea of having my own spaceship where I can travel around the galaxy. So this one really scratches an itch for me. The only issue that I had with it is you don't end up spending that much time on your ship, but I didn't mind it that much. When you have 2 of my favorite love interests in Emily and Ash, I can forgive quite a bit. Finally, my number 1 VN of the year is Eternum by Charybdis. I mean, this comes as no surprise. I played 2 updates from Charybdis this past year, and the 0.6 update was just a masterpiece. It was so well done, and it's always a struggle to pick which of all the great female characters is my favorite. I think I still have to give it to Luna, but Annie is as good a friend as you could ask for, I mean, outside of Chang. The humor, the story are just so good. Eternum is what Ready Player One should have been. This is one of the few games that I will play update to update, and so far, Charybdis hasn't let me down. So, what are your top 10 you played this past year? Let me know down in the comments. Also, look out for my list of games I'm looking forward to playing in 2024. Have a happy holidays, and I'll catch you all next week. Thanks all for the great year. Until next time.